technology sector, being a combination of the indigenous and multinational sector, has both strength and depth in it, and indeed it's moving along very nicely. I suppose that's evidenced by a small but number of significant M&A deals towards the back end of last year. I think with regard to the media sector, it's more challenged in terms of traditional media, though Ireland is emerging as a very strong hub for the online media sector, particularly US multinationals. And that in turn will assist as more traditional media channels use the online media channel for distribution. In terms of telecoms, it's very much a domestic market. There is pressure on consumer spend, and therefore telecoms will continue to have pressure over all areas in the foreseeable future.
I'm not sure that the Irish retail industry or the Irish consumer, in fact, is ready to really embrace such technologies. The capability has been in the devices for quite some time now. What we've yet to see, though, is technology that will facilitate secure access to economic data or wallet data on these smartphones or mobile devices. And until that point, I don't think that the consumer is going to be in a position to accept their smartphone as their premium payment device.
Big data really represents the explosion in data that we're all seeing around us, and particularly for organisations, they're seeing a lot of this data because it's been driven by the number of ways employees and customers are interacting with them, be that via mobile devices, via Facebook and via Twitter. And this is very different to what organisations traditionally saw, where data was very transactional based on particular transactions, and that's just a complete explosion of data, and it's happening a lot more. So the question for Irish organisations is how they exploit that data. Now there's a lot of data there, and there's certainly a lot of insights that can be gained from that data that traditional systems can't actually give an organisation. But I think from our perspective, it's pretty much a maturing area at this stage. There's a lot of things organisations can do today in terms of actually getting insight from the data that they already have and that they're not really doing already. So our view would really be organisations should, yes, have a role for big data in their overall information management strategy, but really for the next year, they should really be focused on trying to get what they can out of the data they have today and just watch this space in terms of big data as the area actually matures.
The evolution of application development on mobile devices is something that we've spotted over the past 12 months at least. We've breached over 1 million applications on the App Store. However, less than 20% of those apps receive greater than 1,000 downloads. And really what we're seeing is the consumers are being much more selective in identifying which applications they want to download and use. What we saw in earlier research we did in the year was that applications that take best advantage of the capabilities within the mobile phone or the smartphone, such as GPS or understanding balance, the tilt angle that the phone is held at, have a much greater impact on the consumer. So what I think we're going to see is companies using applications which meet a need for the consumer as opposed to are offering a me too, we're on the App Store type service.
Like with the rest of the world, really, the online coupon industry has really kind of exploded again in the last year or two in Ireland, and there's no doubt that has been successful. At least, I think if you need to look at the success from a couple of different angles, I think from the consumer's perspective, it's been quite successful in terms of they're getting their discount. I think from the retailer's perspective, the problem with a lot of the current models and the coupons is that there tend to be one-off transactions that somebody comes in, gets their discount, and then they don't come back again. And really for the retailers, they're trying to drive that loyalty. So I think for the coupon providers, what they've got to do is really try and come up with models that actually allow retailers to build long-term transactions and histories and relationships with their with the consumers. I think that's the real challenge for them. I think they also need to look at maybe some of the commissioning model, which right now some retailers don't get involved in it because the commission that the coupon retailers are taking is a bit much. I think here in Ireland this is a very timely prediction, and if you look at everything with RT being 50 years old this year, and I suppose the good news for RT and everybody RT is that the schedule is still king. Well over 90% of TV programmes are actually watched on the schedule, so that's good news from that perspective. And I think you'll see that's evolving, how the schedule is being used. TV producers are doing a lot, and you'll notice that a lot, especially in the last year or two in Ireland, where they're doing pockets of broadcasting around the same sort of programmes, be it on drama or comedy, and you're seeing a lot of that now. And really once they've grabbed the audience there, they're actually able to use that and keep driving the actual advertising revenue on it. I think that's one area you'll see more and more of that actually happening. The other thing that we're seeing is a lot of counter-programming. So if the X Factor is on one channel and that has a particular demographic, you're also seeing that on the other channel they're really trying to look for programs that will actually grab the other part of the demographic and then drive the advertising on that.
I think the things that caught my eye were probably two things in particular. One is the explosion in the use of tablets, and we've seen the tablet become probably the fastest consumer device or consumer artefact that's gone to 2 per household. So much more quickly than people got to 2 cars per household or 2 phones per household, we're seeing 2 tablets per household. Associated with that, what we're also seeing is an explosion in the use of network data. And we've evidence of mobile companies moving away from having used all-you-can-eat price plans because of the cost and the amount of data being used. We're now seeing that on the wireline side, where consumers are using Wi-Fi a lot more regularly, but with much greater volumes of data. And as a result of this, we're seeing an explosion in the demand for wireline data services, which I think is a trend that we're going to see for some time. And I think the real question will be, number one, how will telcos deal with that increased requirement for capacity? And number two, what are we going to do with all of this data over the next number of years as we develop it?
Companies of whatever scale are all very conscious of the need for international expansion to grow their markets, whether it's in our nearest markets of the UK and Europe or in the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India and China. And what I would say is essential, particularly for companies which have never been abroad before, is to have a very good business plan starting out and to take counsel from other companies, professional services firms, advisors who have worked with other companies in going abroad to understand the pitfalls, the areas of difficulty, and to ensure that they're best prepared in their moves abroad. Because really the success into future years will depend on those moves abroad being successful for them. Taking up an appropriate but not excessive part of the management time and ensuring that there's an appropriate return for the investment made.